Hello, friends. So I am going to do two videos today. One video is going to be about glutathione, as promised, and the other video I'm going to do later after this is going to be about the three controversial foods that I know has created a lot of questions and unhappiness and confusion. And so I want to debunk those and promise you to do it in a way that it's clear and understood for you. Like, why did I say spinach is not such a good idea? It's not for everyone. So stay tuned for this one. I'm going to hang up this video and then start off a new video to talk about the whole spinach debacle. And spinach, actually, it's not just spinach. Spinach, protein powders, and I'm going to be talking about eggs, okay? All righty. So let's, but this video is going to be about glutathione. So let's make it short and sweet. I want to help you understand how to increase the glutathione in natural ways in your body. And, yeah, Chris is saying NAC. Absolutely. That's the superpower of glutathione. And what about glutathione in a supplemental form and all that kind of good stuff? So glutathione is a big deal, right? Because it is our master detoxifier. It means I always think of glutathione as like the Pac-Man that, remember that back in the day, we used to play like these video games, for those of you who are old enough to remember, like, there was this Pac-Man on screen and the Pac-Man was going around chomping all the whatever debris that was on the screen, right? And so I think of glutathione exactly the same way. It's kind of like an easy way to understand this. And it really is quite an amazing compound that the body is actually able to produce on its own. The question is, if we are, for example, inundated by, if there's a lot of toxins that are being thrown our way, then we need to increase the amount of glutathione we have. Let me give you an example. 2 years ago, I did a remodel in my house, and the remodel was taking place downstairs here where I'm sitting now. So I moved upstairs, and as much as the contractor was amazing and has cordoned off and taped off the entire downstairs, so that knowing that I'm very sensitive to dust, so the dust would not be going up, I think no matter how much you tape, it just doesn't work. So I just felt that in my lungs, I felt real sense of fatigue and getting headaches, and I felt it in my lungs, and it wasn't a pleasant experience. And so I started taking NAC, and it was literally within a day that it completely took all the fatigue away. And so throughout the construction period, I was taking NAC just to help my body detox all this. And it was winter on top of that, so we couldn't open up the windows widely and all of that stuff. So it was such a really great reminder. However, there's a lot of things you can do, combining food and supplementation. I think putting these two together just creates like so much magic in the body, right? So remember, I'm of the opinion that even though we sell supplements, one of the things that happens is that, I think my first job is to really educate you and empower you. That's at least my mission. And I will be very dishonest if I was to tell you, just go and get the supplement without making any dietary changes. Like, these supplements, you just cannot out supplement nutrition. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta have your nutrition down. And so there's a lot of things we can actually do to really support your body through some wonderful nutritional changes too, so you can produce glutathione naturally. So let's talk about the first one. And so the first one is really food-wise, right? Let's just start off with all the foods. The first one that really helps with production of glutathione, and some of you who have taken glutathione orally, there's a very sulfury taste to it. So guess what? Sulfur as a compound is amazing for producing glutathione. And who wants to guess what are some of the highest sulfur-rich foods on this planet? And so I will, so let me move on. So while I'm gonna wait for you guys to respond, like, what are the highest sulfur-rich foods that you can incorporate to get the sulfur from food? And while I'm waiting for you to answer that, I'm gonna go to the second point, which is antioxidant-rich fruits and vegetables. So things like avocado and berries, not surprisingly, are there to support the process. Another one, which is really interesting, is that a lot of selenium-rich foods also can help. So selenium as a compound, right? Eggs, eggs have good sulfur amounts too. That's very true, Miramar. Okay, what else? But not everybody can eat eggs. I'm actually going to talk about eggs in my second video this afternoon. So another one is selenium-rich foods. So things like Brazil nuts, you guys probably know, are super high. Interestingly, grass-fed and grass-finished meat is also high in selenium, something that a lot of people don't realize. But the caveat here is that it has to be grass-fed, grass-finished, and that also means that those are animals that actually do get access to the outdoors, and they get the sun. And so it's a very different animal profile of meat when you compare that to an animal that's been raised on in a mass-produced environment. Brazil nuts, that's for selenium. Brassicas, mushrooms, yes, that's all correct. But you guys are missing the biggest one, actually. What gives you like a real pungent smell when you're cooking a soup or a stew. Like, this is the first thing you always start off with by sauteing that, right? What would that be? So I'm just gonna give you a 1 more minute, and then I'm gonna reveal what it is what I'm talking about here. So another one that's really cool is also due to high antioxidants is green tea, and specifically catechins is what green tea contains. And the green tea is actually specifically that's got the highest amount of antioxidants on the ORAC scale is matcha tea, MATCHA. In fact, I just finished drinking a matcha tea just 10 minutes before I started the video, just to have a little bit of. Leslie got it right. Yes, it's onions and garlic. Exactly. The allium family. So the allium family of vegetables is your onions and garlic and scallions and spring onions, I think it's called in British English, right? And chives. So bring those on. And one little tidbit I want to give you here as well is that as much as all of them are very high in sulfur, this one specific onion, they're super high in quercetin. Quercetin is the compound that, the saying, an apple a day will keep the doctor away, right? So guess which onion is that has the highest amount of quercetin? So much so that if you're making bone broth, and I'm recording this in winter, so I'm hoping some of you are making bone broth on a regular basis, you want to put that particular kind of onion, just slice it in 4 quarters and put it into your bone broth, and that gives you the highest amount of quercetin. A little tip here too: you want to put it with the skin on, because quercetin is very high in this particular onion. So let's see if we get anybody. Red onion, yes, exactly. Diana and Sarah Ann got that right. Red onion, Rajul is saying absolute purple onion. Yes, red onion, purple onion, same thing. Rano, exactly. You guys got this right. You guys are good. That just shows me like you are super interested about food, or you understand food as nutrition, right? So yeah, so sulfur-rich foods, bring those on. The other ones that we talked about, let me just elaborate a little bit more, is cruciferous vegetables. So the brassica family, right? The brassica family would be your collard greens, your broccoli sprouts, cauliflower, arugula, my favorite. Let's see, radishes, turnips, watercress, I think is in the cruciferous vegetable category as well. So all of those are very high in sulfur as well. That's the reason why if any one of you has overcooked cauliflower, it actually kind of stinks. It stinks as if somebody farted. And it's a very sulfury kind of smell, right? In fact, some of you who are maybe sensitive to brassica family vegetables, you might get farts from it as well. Cooking can help. So that's the kind of vegetables you want to surround yourself with. I'm going to be talking about why I'm not a fan of spinach. Spinach does not have any of those properties. In fact, it's super high in oxalates. I'm going to be talking about this afternoon. And I think there's nothing wrong with spinach if you have a little bit here and there. But the point is that people are putting 3-4 bunches or handfuls of spinach into a smoothie and then having a lot of health issues afterwards. So instead, I'm saying consider substituting that with mustard greens or with arugula, and these vegetables are just amazing. So sulfur. And also the other benefit of sulfur is that sulfur is also amazing for the liver. So we have there's 7 different detoxification pathways in the liver. And one of the pathways called, guess what? The sulfation pathway, right? Sulfur is a sulfation pathway because it needs a sulfur. Actually, let me just explain this really quickly. the liver detoxifies us in 2 phases, phase 1 and phase 2. So the sulfation pathway belongs to phase 2 liver detoxification. Now, in phase 1, the body breaks the toxins down, so they actually are even more toxic than before they enter the body. And in phase 2, we need to have enough binders to bind them up. They're kind of like, they're looking for a marriage partner, then to be evacuated through the different pathways. And guess what? Sulfur is the compound that needs to be attached to that very, very toxic compound now after phase 1 detoxification, and then evacuated through pooping. You're actually pooping your toxins out. That's why poop is so toxic. So, amongst other things. So, yeah, so that's sulfur. Let's talk about. Let me go back to my notes. Another thing that's really interesting about helping you produce glutathione is probiotics. And I know a lot of people asking now straight away a question of like, so exactly which probiotic? And here's an interesting thing about probiotic, and we were finding through research, is that it is not the specific strain of probiotics that will make a difference, is the variety of bacteria that you have in your gut. So gone are the days when you go, it's not like you're going to go designer shopping going, I want this bacterium and I want that bacterium. And, it doesn't quite work that way. Or at least we are not at a point of understanding that amount of detail, because there's a lot of interaction between the bacteria and and there is also a bit of viruses. There's yeast in our gut, and some of it is healthy and some of it is not. So the bottom line is that what you want to do is you want to look more at the diversity of your microbiome rather than looking for specific strain. One of the good ideas is that when you're taking a probiotic is to rotate your probiotic on a regular basis, meaning you do one, you finish that for 30, 60 days, you move on to another one with another strain of bacteria, right? And not doing the same thing over and over again. If you look at the labels, most probiotics would have 10, 12 different strains, but if you pick another brand that's reliable and good quality, there might be different strains in it. So it's a really good idea to rotate those. Lastly, on the food side of things, herbs and spices such as turmeric, ginger, curry contains anti-inflammatory compounds as well that help boost glutathione production. When I found that in the research, I was like, oh my God, I'm so happy to hear this, because I'm a big curry person. I grew up in Asia, so curry and turmeric and ginger, galangal, and all the curries is such a big part of my daily diet, almost daily diet, not every day, but I love a good curry. I love, I posted the other day, like one of the very practical things I like to do is to cook up a pot of something and then make it feel different by adding different spices every day. So one of the reels that I published on LinkedIn, on Instagram and on Facebook was about like how I make a pot of yellow lentils, right? And they're very easily digested. It's yellow lentils. Yeah, it's yellow lentils. It's those ones that are orange in color, right? So, or red lentils. And they're super easy to digest. They cook really quickly. They taste good. They're easily digestible. Amongst all the legumes, they're the easiest one to digest. And for some reason, that reel didn't get a lot of traction. But I thought I will tell you this now. It's like, one of the things I will do is I'll put one curry powder one day, right? And the following day I always add up some vegetables and pieces of protein or whatever I have left over in the fridge. I don't like spending too much time in the kitchen. So anyway, bring on the curry powders because they just are really so quite amazing. So let's talk a little bit about supplementation. So a couple of things. Vitamin C and vitamin E can really help to boost glutathione levels as well. Some of you have commented that ever since you started taking vitamin C, you started feeling like your skin has gotten a lot better. That's because of glutathione and because of collagen production. Vitamin C actually helps with collagen production in the skin and internally. So that's probably the link. And then some of you have mentioned here, yes, taking NAC, but also alpha lipoic acid are really the foundational supplements that can help body convert that to glutathione. What I love about NAC, it's a very inexpensive compound, and then your body doesn't need a lot of cofactors to convert it to glutathione, which is important because a lot of times we take something like, for example, flaxseed oil, and then the body is dependent on a number of different cofactors to convert that to omega-3. it's a lot of people don't realize that actually flaxseed does not contain a lot of omega-3s unless you convert it. And a lot of people are deficient in, for example, zinc or magnesium, right? And so the conversion isn't really happening very effectively. So with NAC, however, it's actually not the case. It converts to glutathione quite easily, and it's very inexpensive. That's the reason why I'm not a fan, and we don't carry or manufacture glutathione as a supplement, because glutathione is generally is really hard to get through the mucosa and to get into your body, and so it gets destroyed very quickly in your stomach, which has got a very low pH, right? So the issue here is, and then there's a couple of glutathiones that are liposomal, which are amazing, but they're also very expensive. And if you look at the label, like there is one brand, for example, that sells for $70 that only lasts for 30 days, right? So, and so anyway, so there is another reason why I personally love what we did was we formulated our daily liver detox with 4 supplements, right? So it's got NAC, it's got milk thistle in it, it's got alpha lipoic acid, it's got selenium in it. So putting all these four wonderful things together. I forgot about milk thistle, actually. Milk thistle contains silymarin, which I've shared this in one of my emails recently, that my father passed away just about 3 weeks ago. And when he was diagnosed with liver cancer 18 months ago, and one of the compounds that he was given actually through the hospital was silymarin. In his case, it was just too late. He had he just had too many health issues for that to make a dent, right? But I think it has given him a longer life for sure, together with all the chemo and everything else that he was doing. But anyway, so the milk thistle is actually kind of amazing because there's a lot of research and studies that show how silymarin and milk thistle is given to people in with alcoholic liver, and how silymarin helps to rebuild the liver. So like liver cirrhosis, which is alcohol-induced form of liver disease, gets actually resolved by taking silymarin from milk thistle. So that's the reason why we put NAC, silymarin, milk thistle. LAL is another one, a really cool one. Alpha lipoic acid it protects. So alpha lipoic acid is the one compound, it's a form of acid that it protects the glutathione from damage, and it helps it to regenerate on its own. So you're giving your body some glutathione, or you're converting to glutathione, and alpha lipoic acid is there to protect it. So you're basically getting like a bigger buck for what you were taking, because when you're taking NAC together with LAL. So that was one of the things that we have done with this. We've also added selenium to it because it helps with the production, but it also helps. It's a wonderful antioxidant. And there is a lot of things that will damage glutathione production in the body, right? So you're kind of like working through the body mechanisms of, here are things that help to build it, here are the things that help to destroy it, right? And so we want to protect the process of creation of glutathione. So we worked with our formulator. That was the 4 compounds that we came up with to optimize the production of glutathione and getting it to stay in the body for as long as possible with the use of things like alpha lipoic acid. So this is the reason why the daily detox liver thing that we just launched has all these 4 compounds. By the way, we ran out. I mean, we literally sold out within 5 days from the time we started talking about it. So I apologize for that. We are getting a new batch. I believe it's on the 7th that we're getting into our warehouse. So we're going to start shipping from soon after that. And the cool thing is that you're getting our free, I forgot to pick it up, our digestive bitter, the after digestive bitter, as a little gift for just waiting for the few days that it ships. So I've been taking this myself as well, our daily liver detox, and it's we'll see. I mean, my the liver line that I talk about here, I'm hoping that it's gonna get a little bit better. But overall, my energy and all the good stuff is really good. One of the ways of knowing you're low on glutathione, you guys, is when your eyesight starts going. And so that's a really interesting one. And so I just went 2 weeks ago. I went to got my eyes checked, and so one of my eyes is beginning to go, and so he gave me a prescription, and he's like, wow, I cannot believe the doctor's like, I can't believe it that a 50-year-old has not been wearing glasses till this point. So I got that. He's like, you don't really need glasses. I'm like, in the evening, I'm kind of straining my eyes and gives me a bit of a headache. So he gave me some glasses that are just like super, super mild. But let's actually talk a little bit about, I'm going to go to questions in just a second. So let's see what else, how would you know? So glutathione, I've got this in a newsletter this morning, so they went out. So glutathione helps you with antioxidant properties. It helps you detoxify the body. We talked a lot about that, helping the liver, because this whole, rest of the month we are talking about, this right now we're talking about liver a lot. Eye health, so glutathione is essential in managing proper eye health, skin health. So a lot of people here would say that some of you have said that ever since your glutathione has improved, your skin quality has improved as well, right? So that's not uncommon. It also can help with brain health, so helping to improve proper brain function. I mean, you guys, this is not surprising, right? Like when you detox, when you think about it, and you've got more glutathione to like chomp down all the toxic debris, it's not unusual that you just start feeling better overall, right? Whether it's your eyes, your sleep, your skin, right? Your brain starts functioning way better. I mean, that's just such a, I think that holds true for pretty much majority of our functions, right? I don't really know many people who are highly toxic and they are highly functional and happy in gums and teeth. Yeah, I would think so too, for sure. So let's go over to a couple of questions, Jen, and see what we can help folks with. What about asparagus and Brussels sprouts? Yeah, so asparagus, it's not in the cruciferous family. I don't know how much, do some research and find, I mean, look, asparagus is a great vegetable, right? Period. So I think, having that as part of your protocol is just absolutely amazing. No problem whatsoever. So Brussels sprouts, yes, thank you for mentioning that. That's part of the brassica family. That would also be high in sulfur. And what about copper? So, I mean, what exactly is the question about copper? If you could be more clear. All right, let's take another question. Is it okay for men to take? Yes, absolutely. Men have livers too, and all of those compounds are super helpful for them as well. What if you have a slow phase 2 pathway and react poorly to sulfur foods? That's a great question. So you need to be mindful of that. And there's a couple of things. One is, so there is a genetic SNP, which actually I have that too. It's called CBS, that makes you a slow sulfur metabolizer. Okay, so that's a really interesting point. Thank you, Jody, for mentioning this. So what I have learned, and this is a couple of my colleagues who also have the CBS gene SNP, said the same thing, is the more the body is struggling overall, it's overloaded with a lot of processing, a lot of toxins, dealing with a lot of stress, poor sleep, right? The body is just overwhelmed with a lot of stuff, the more you're reactive to sulfur foods. Let me give an example. Right now, if I think health-wise, I'm in a really good place. I will talk about it in the video after this about my experience with oxalates and how much it's changed my life. And at some point I will show you guys pictures of how swollen I was, like puffy. So I'm not like, oh, I was fat. It's not about being fat. It's just about feeling lousy and feeling so inflamed. That's why I was holding on to a lot of weight. And 4 years ago when I was doing my first cookbook, I mean, I look at my photos and I'm like, I'm puffy. I'm just so puffed up and I was so inflamed because of oxalates. But anyway, back then when I was so inflamed, Jody, I could not even touch anything containing sulfur, including I was doing glutathione because I thought, I was detoxing, right? So I wanted to lower the inflammation. So I started doing glutathione, liposomal one. And instead of feeling better, I'll get a headache. I'll get really like a sense of overwhelm and anxiety. It wasn't so much, I could see that my body just wasn't processing sulfur. So the bottom line of this is that the more your body is able to, is more detox, the inflammation is lowered, your liver can do its job, the less reactivity you're gonna have to sulfur foods, even with the genetic SNPs. Okay, let's see what else. Veronica is asking, do you remember trying ingredients trying the ingredients of the liver detox individually first in case of sensitivity. I'm concerned about milk thistle because I'm sensitive to flax and elderberry. Yeah, so if you're sensitive, then I will say, just don't do it. And then just get separate ones, right? It's going to be more expensive. Some of you have commented that the supplement is expensive. Okay, so if $69, and now we're also throwing in the digestive bitter, which is like worth $29. The thing is that there are 4 compounds in here. If you get one of them separately, it's going to be way more than $69. So actually it's not really that bad. But Veronica, I would suggest, like, if you know you're sensitive to things, then maybe just lay off milk thistle. Yeah, go ahead. Can you just can this detox process cause a rash? Yes, so it can if you're highly toxic. There is such a thing as having a reaction to. So if you are afraid that it's going to give you a rash, for example, let's just say you've just gone through a stressful period and you've just been binging on sugar and alcohol and eating all the stuff that you shouldn't be eating, your body doesn't love, and that's okay. We all have moments like that. Then what you want to do is take a capsule, right? And just really simply, it's not gonna hurt you at all by splitting it, open it up. Our serving size right now is 2 capsules. So take half of the 1 capsule and then just put it in water and start off with that until you create a tolerance. So when you are detoxing, it's very normal to have rashes. Is just one of the 101 detoxification side effects. You can get also things like headaches, bad breath. You can also get itchy on the skin. You can get bad dreams, white tongue, weird. I used to have weird dreams. I remember when I was on detox in Thailand, I was getting really, really weird dreams. So that's one of it. Different food cravings, right? So, but anyway, your skin is definitely a big organ that speaks for detoxification. What was the name of the supplement? Eyesight, brain function. So I was just talking about glutathione being, if you're low on glutathione, one of the symptoms is poor eyesight and like quickly declining eyesight. That's what I was talking about. Okay. What about kale? Yeah, so definitely. So kale is one of the brassica families, and kale is definitely high in sulfur as well. So yeah, bring it on if you can. Well, actually, let me talk about one thing here because that's something that causes a lot of confusion, and that is I talked about the brassica family, right? And in the brassica family have got like this really sad. That there's this misconception that if you're eating these cruciferous vegetables, these goitrogenic vegetables, right, as the blogosphere has decided to call it, you're going to develop a low thyroid function. And I just want to completely debunk that because it is very far from truth. I will tell you right now that when I was in private practice, I had people coming and saying, I removed all the cruciferous vegetables for the past 6 months. I haven't touched a single one of them, and my thyroid is still a mess. I have never seen anyone fix, and please, if that has helped you here, tell me, because I have never seen a person who actually has taken out all the cruciferous vegetables, which are such a nutritional wonder food, and heal the thyroid. First of all, most thyroid conditions are caused because of Hashimoto's disease, and it's an autoimmune disease. So you're going to work on your gut and not by removing these items. The goitrogenic effect has been found in soy. Yes, if you're eating a copious amount of soy, then the receptors in the thyroid can become insensitive to iodine, and then the iodine doesn't come in through the thyroid, doesn't bind up to create the T4 hormone. So yes, so soy can be problematic, but I'm not talking about soy here. So please do not stay away from cruciferous vegetables when you have a thyroid condition. Staying away is not gonna help you. In fact, if anything, healthy gut for thyroid function is so incredibly important. T4 hormone, which is produced by a thyroid, or if you're taking synthroid is then dependent on your liver to convert it to T3, which is your working horse, right? T3 hormone is like, we have all the receptors in the body, in your brain and everywhere for T3. That's what gives you beautiful hair and skin and brain function and good eyesight and all of that. And when your liver is struggling, and these cruciferous vegetables can help you, but when your liver is struggling, then you're never going to experience good thyroid health. So please tell everyone who's got a thyroid condition, start eating kale. It's actually going to help your thyroid and not kill it, as the blogosphere has decided. Jen, I want to keep it to like a shorter video today. Let's see, because we have another one to do after this. Let's do like one other question you think is good, and then we're going to wrap up to get ready for the next video. Glutathione supplements have given me terrible indigestion. What would be the cause? So Lori, thanks for sharing. I think, first of all, I think we have to honor the fact that we're all different, right? Like, let me give you an example with Vitex. Vitex is a wonderful herb that is supposed to raise progesterone levels, right? And in Germany, if you can't get pregnant and you go low progesterone, boom, Vitex is like the official herb they will give you, right? A lot of women swear by it. Like, they can't live without Vitex. Guess what? If I take Vitex, my ovaries start throbbing. I get mid-cycle spotting, right? And I feel so off. And I try different doses, and from the most wonderful Vitex, it just doesn't work for me, right? So I think it's important to recognize the fact that we are all different from each other. But having said that, glutathione in itself, there's a couple of things that come to mind. You know how I talked about the sulfur intolerance just now? It could be that the supplement you had taken, like the way I was sensitive to glutathione straight up, was because it had too much sulfur and I had too much of inflammation going on and I was reacting to it. So that could be one. It could also be that the supplement you were taking had some, dodgy ingredients in it that maybe your body just doesn't like. Some fillers, some colorants in it, some flavors. Like glutathione is pretty disgusting. So there's a lot of times they put different flavors to it, right? So maybe you're reacting to that. I don't know. And this is the reason why I always feel that taking NAC is just a simpler option, because then your body can convert that. And I'm wondering did you have a problem with NAC as well? And so anyway, so that's that. I think let's wrap up this call. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you found it helpful just to be a little bit inspired. So remember, bring on the sulfur-rich foods, all the onions, garlic, scallions, and chives, and then bring on, and purple onions, red onions especially, bring on the vitamin C, vitamin E, bring on the cruciferous vegetables, right? So the brassica family, all the collard greens and kale and Brussels sprouts and all that good stuff we talked about. Bring on some NAC, alpha lipoic acid, anything that's high in selenium, which is Brazil nuts and grass-fed, grass-finished meat. All of those 4 compounds I talked about, we have that in our daily liver detox that is like made for you. And if you miss the fact that we sold out so quickly, but that's why we're giving you for being patient and waiting for a few more days. We are going to be shipping is probably around the 10th. We are getting it in our warehouse on the 7th. We're giving you our digestive bitters after, which is a really nice thing to try if you haven't tried it yet with a purchase of the daily liver detox. Okay. Thanks, everyone. I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.